everyone. Welcome to the Cynthia Linox Show. I am your host, Cynthia Linox. I want to take a moment to celebrate you that's taking the time to view the show. I'm on here every Thursday, 2 p.m. Central Time, on streaming on either Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube. And if you can't meet me here at 2 p.m. on Thursday, then of course the show is streamed 24/7. So I want to celebrate your growth. I want to celebrate your development. I want to celebrate your evolution. We are all evolving. And if you are watching this show, there is something on the inside of you that's telling you that there is more, to life. There is more to enjoy. There is more juice to squeeze out of time and energy and opportunities and all of that, circumstances that you create. There is just so much more for you. I know it, and you know it, because you know what? Life is every single day, and every single day that you have the opportunity to live, do it deliberately. Do it with intention. Live your life on purpose, and make everything that you do significant. That's how you get the gusto out of life. I make a big deal. I may not, put a whole bunch of balloons around, but I make a big deal of every moment simply because I have come to the awareness of the meaning, the significance and the pleasure life brings to us. My expectation and my anticipation is always for something good to happen. When I get up, my mind is already tuned to a great day and just opportunities coming my way. Now, I'm going to talk today about the dominance of your imagination, because it is such a tool that is in most cases ignored or underrated. And if you took a moment to really think about the power of your imagination and the dominance of it in your life, you will understand and see that your entire life was created. The chair that you are seated on right now, imagination. I need to put this focus, do not disturb. Otherwise I get all these alerts and so forth on the phone. Anyway, the chair that you are seated on right now is a product of someone's imagination, or the bed that you're laying in now is a product of someone's imagination. The computer, the screen, the monitor, your smartphone, wherever you are viewing this broadcast, is a product of someone's imagination. Imagination is so powerful that two things can happen. You can be told a lie and believe it to such an extent that it becomes your truth. Or you can be told a truth or discover a truth, and it becomes your reality. That is the power of your imagination. Everything is birth. Imagination is the architect, is the divine architect of your existence. Everything about you, and everything is sculptured. Everything is sculpture. Everything that you create, because it is first conceived in your mind. It is so fascinating, because the more I think about it, I think of just things that I imagine, that I think about, things I want to do, places I want to go, everything that it works both ways, whether it's positive or negative, but it is first conceived in your mind. That's where it starts, in your mind. I was talking with someone, and they were complaining. Well, they were really voicing their their thoughts on this politics and all, and about taxes and so forth, and talking about the 1% in the United States I'm making reference to. And they said that, the 1%, they're getting a great tax break and so forth. And I said, well, that's great. And they're, no fault of theirs, if the leader decides that that's what they want to do, and, that's what they do. And so if you were in the 1% of the, income, which is, millions, billions, and, they're now tipping off at the trillions. If you're in that 1 percentile and you're getting a great tax break, I said, anyone can be in the 1%. So instead of putting that energy into looking at that marker, that energy can be put into what you do. And I'm like, okay, so and I made reference to different situations that that I know. Someone that was a welder. This person was a welder in his country over there, and a company from the U.S. went there and to have some work done, and saw him working, but he was just welding. And he extended him an invite. This is years ago. An invite to come to the U.S. to work at the plant here in the U.S. And after 5 years, he got his residency and all of that. The point is, this person was so good at his craft. He was so good at his skill of welding. So he left that company and he went to work for another company at a higher position. After a few years, this person decided, I don't want to work for anyone anymore. And what did they do? They started their own company. The ATM machines, excuse me, where you get money from, that's what they build. They build ATM machines, all of those machines, ATM machines for the banks. There are these machines also that reproduce keys, or the same machine that count the coins and so forth. That's what their company does. Of course, it's a big company now, and they probably hire, I don't know, 200 employees and so forth, and it's been going strong. And this person is in the 1 percentile. But when he was working in his country years ago, he was a laborer. He was just a laborer. He was just a welder. But as he worked for the first company that recruited him, not recruited him, but, saw his work, and his work was clean and, perfect and so forth, and they brought him to the U.S., the company really was able to see that the guy does a great job. And so he worked for them for 5 years. And after that, I guess he was not quite ready to get started on his own company. So he went to work for another company in a higher position. And now, well, he's owned his company for forever. He's in the 1 percentile, and he's enjoying the benefits of the tax breaks and so forth. The power of his imagination. What made him think? What made this person think that they could start their own company? It's like, wait a minute, you don't even, you're just a welder. But the power of his imagination, he thought, well, if I can do it for someone else, I can certainly do it for myself. And they started their own company. That to me is a fascinating story. Then there's another person, Alex. Alex is an upholsterer. Imagine that, an upholsterer. I didn't even know what that, upholstery for, curtains and fabrics and things like that. And this person is an upholsterer. Came from another country, and got a job at uh, a car, a company that deals with classic cars. You know, they put the leather and they put all the kind of stuff and whatever. He got a job there. Now they identified him, his skills, as so unique and so precise that they, gave him raises and promotions and things of that nature. And in his mind, he thought, well, if I can do upholstery on cars, car seats, doors, put leather here, there, the other, if I can do that, then certainly I can do it on planes, on airplanes. And if I can do it on airplanes, then for sure I can remodel yachts and boats, luxury boats, private boats and private yachts. And, of course, by now he was doing like private jets, private aircraft for folks. And he thought, well, if I could do it for classic cars, then surely I can. And so his next step was to go and work for another company, a company that did airplanes. It's the remodel airplanes from the inside, all the seats, replace all of that, and did such a fantastic job. And in his mind, he thought, well, wait a minute, I can make this my own. I can make this my business. I can create a business. And guess what? He did. He created a business based on his skills and his ability and all of that. And now he fits into I don't know if he fits into the 1%. I don't know that. The point is, the person is so young. The person is so young. It's a young person. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, whether you're where you came from, the color of your skin, your ethnicity, your race, your nationality. None of that matter. What mattered is the skill that he possessed, and he recognized it. And he was bold enough to push the limits, to go beyond the norm, because the norm would be to stay at an organization and be paid and get promotions and perhaps start leading the whole redoing department, remodeling department, or whatever it is. He could have done that, but he said, no, I can do it for myself and hire people as well and train other people so that they can work for me. And that's what they did. The power of your imagination. And in many cases, we sell ourselves so short. We that's why it's not good to blame anyone. When you start blaming someone for your demise, for your mishaps, for your unfortunate situations and all that, you're really not going to get ahead, because you're wasting too much energy complaining and blaming someone else. In the meantime, you are sitting on these skills, and it doesn't matter what it is. There is something unique about you. There is something so specifically unique about you that's waiting to be discovered. And if you don't know what it is now, because sometimes, like I was talking with someone, I was doing some coaching, and I said to the person, what is it that you want to do? And they said, well, I don't know. And there are a lot of people that don't know what they want to do, in life. And most people, most people would say, well, I really want to help people, or I really want to do this for people, and so forth. It's like me. It gives me such joy and such pleasure to come to you every week and share with you. And but if you don't know, take some time. That's why, we have gone through a journey of self-discovery the last, few months. We went through a whole 12 months of the journey of self-discovery. But now we are in a place that I call the savage season. This is my savage season. And as I mentioned to you before, you can name it whatever you want. It could be your new chapter, whatever. But for me, it's a savage season. And that's the season where you step out and you own everything. You own everything. You don't really, you're not concerned with what people have to say, because that's none of your business. And you trust yourself, you believe in yourself, and you know that the highest form of worship is self-worth. When you recognize that, and again, that's why I say it's my savage season, because you start really coming into the fullness of who you are. Your strength, your power, your sexual energy, your ambition, your desires, and all of that. And you arrive at it unapologetically. You make no apologies for thinking the way you think. You make no excuses for, wanting the things that you want. As a matter of fact, I read someplace, someone was talking about, riches and so forth. And, years back when one was able to, have the freedom of going outside or doing this or doing that and so forth, that those were really rich experiences, which I agree with and so forth. But you get to decide what riches mean to you. And I will not minimize at all. I will not minimize my definition or my idea of what that is: riches, wealth, abundance. Neither will I make any excuses or try to dim it down or anything like that. No, I'm gonna speak the words that produces speak the words that will produce those things for me. As a matter of fact, I was thinking about that today. I was thinking about one time, our first cruise, my husband and I, and that was years ago. We have done many cruises, and our first cruise, before we met, my husband had already been on a cruise. And so he used to just, every time he talked to me about it, he showed so much enthusiasm about the cruise and the fun and all that kind of stuff. I had no experience on a cruise. So he was talking to me one day, and I said, you know what? That's it. Next year, we will go on a cruise. And so I started to plan it. And I had no idea what to expect because, again, I had never been on a cruise. So I booked it. And when I booked the cruise, at that point, because, cruises are pretty costly. Well, when I say costly, and it's all in perspective, because for us at that time, it was a stretch. And so I booked an inside cabin. I booked a cabin on the inside of the ship. We went, we had a fantastic time. It was absolutely lovely. But I remember when I was walking down in the corridors, going to the elevator, and, they were cleaning the rooms and whatever. And when I looked to the left, I would see, the rooms with a balcony. And gosh, I just thought that is just so fascinating. And I just thought, gosh, if I could, next time I'm going to book a balcony and so forth. So the next time we cruise, in my mind, because I saw that. So in my mind, my imagination started working, and I'm like, wait a minute, I can have a balcony. I did not even think about how much it'll cost, because it's a whole lot more. I didn't think about the expense, none of that. All I knew is that next time we cruise, that I would want to do a balcony. And so the following year, we've had like 27 cruises. We just used to cruise every single year, sometimes twice a year. That's what we liked. Covered all the Caribbean and Mediterranean, French Riviera, all of that. But the second cruise that we took, I booked a balcony. I booked a balcony. Now, once you book a balcony, I am telling you right now, you're not going back to the inside cabin. That is just not going to happen. But you know what it is? It's not just because of, forget how much it costs and all that. It's your imagination. My imagination took me there. My imagination took me on the balcony with my legs propped up, sipping on a glass of pina colada, enjoying the ocean. My imagination took me there before I got there. And because it was so acute, because it was so precise, guess what? It became my reality. It became my reality. Something tangible. I could, it became my reality. And from then on, that's all we do. That's all I do. Book a balcony, a cabin with a balcony. Ever since, that's all I do. As a matter of fact, one time I booked it through a travel agency, and I generally don't do that because I know how to, I am pretty savvy when it comes to travel and tour and all that kind of stuff. But this time I thought, let me just go through this travel agency because someone mentioned it to me, and I did it. And I don't know where the wires got crossed, but when we got to the room, it wasn't a balcony. It was a porthole. It was like a, big porthole. You could see the ocean. You could see the water. You could see, the water. You could see the shore when you arriving to the, to your stop. But that's not what I wanted. So when I got in the room, I thought, wait a minute, this is the wrong room. But once I looked at my record, I realized that it was the right cabin and so forth. So, we go to the purser's desk and, try to see if they could change it. But it was so full, they didn't have any availability. So we kind of dealt with that on that cruise. And that was okay because at least I could see outside and see the water. And it was nice. But that won't happen again. Following that, we had other cruises, and I made sure that it specified balcony. But all of that starts in the imagination. It starts in the imagination. If you believe you can do whatever it is you want to do, I remember when we, when we travel, we take these long trips to Europe and it takes like 9 hours. Well, the first, after a while, you want comfortable seats and you want first class and so forth. It starts in imagination. And once you taste that, it's hard to go back. That's why, in real estate, when you are, let's see, how does this work? I think they say, like, if they're going to show you different types of homes, they sometimes start with the most luxurious home, and then they scale down. Once they scale down, once you've seen the very luxurious house, it's hard to kind of like digress, to go back and see those with less amenities or less anything. Why? Because in your imagination, you if you enjoy that type of luxury or whatever, you start living there before you even get there. You start living there. My friend, I am telling you, you are not at the mercy of circumstances. You create them. And it all has to do with your imagination. Your imagination. Imagine that as a tool. I talked about, in the past, I've talked about, your sexual energy and how that, strengthens you and helps you with a lot of stuff, your sleep, your health, all of that. And to know that you are equipped with those tools, with those abilities. Well, your imagination is like a big deal as well. Somebody said, I had a conversation and I said something about, not something about, I said, no, and this is a conversation that I did not even belong in there because my views are totally polemic and questionable and so forth to some people. And they were talking about heaven and so forth. And I said, well, no, they said, I heard you said something about you don't want to go to heaven. Somebody said that. And I said, I said, yes. I said, you heard correctly. And they said, what? They're like, uh, you don't want to go to heaven? I said, no, absolutely not. And so they were so perplexed. And I just, kept my peace. And then I asked, I said, well, where is heaven? And they said, well, heaven. I said, well, where is it? They said, well, heaven. And I said, well, if you can point it to me or give me some kind of a reference or something that I can identify, make reference, demonstrable facts, truth, something, reality, then I'll engage in a dialogue. And they said, well, heaven, you know what heaven, like heaven and hell and whatever. I said, well, I said, that's not my, those are not my views. And then they wanted to know more. And I said, well, I grew up fine with just happy, uh, Catholic and so forth. And then I started subscribing to Christian religion with that doctrine and so forth. And that's where I learned about heaven and hell and God and so forth. And based on the description that was painted, based on the picture that was described, that heaven has streets of gold and gates of pearl and walls of agate, and that those that are saved or born again believers, that believers will be worshiping God all day and all night and all day and all night and so forth. And there was I've always been authentic with myself. Now I've come to realize that authenticity is now trending, and I am even bolder in trying to identify the things that I like or don't like and things of that nature. But back then, way back then, when I was subscribed to that religion, or to a religion, I had that conversation with the God that was introduced based on, again, the doctrine, the religious doctrine, and the conversation that I had with God. I said no. I said, because that, my friend, understand this. That was the core of my heart. And if there was a God, a real God, I'm telling you, I would be so favored. As a matter of fact, my life is so favored that I'm thinking, wow, if there's a God, he favors me in all sense, my overall well-being and the way I think and my life. And, I am so favored, if that's what I believe. But I know that I'm favored because of how I think. It is me. I know my worth, I know my value, and I know who I am. I know who I am. But I would say that. I would say, no, I don't want that. That is the most authentic, and it takes courage to say, no, that's not what I want. I do not want that. Based on my makeup, that is not my idea of a life, eternity. No, I did not want that. I didn't care about loving, and at that point I did love God and so forth. Based, again, all of it was based on a doctrine. And I made it clear. That's not what I want. I wasn't afraid of anything else. I didn't, this, I did not even think of hell or all that. But if that was a choice, then so be it. But I was sincere, and well, of course, I don't subscribe to that belief. I believe that belief is for those that believe that, and so that doesn't apply to me. But I was sincere. So I didn't know where I would fit in. It didn't matter to me. I was sincere because my imagination took me to, again, it wasn't, I guess I imagined a physical place, but it was all in my imagination. And this person that asked me when I said, where's heaven? they they could not articulate anything other than heaven. Why is that? Because it is in her imagination. And I know I went through life, my a good chunk of my existence believing in a heaven and so forth, and until now. Now, of course, I just live. I just live and I just enjoy life. And I'm not. Another thing also that part of the doctrine is that my mom and we were attached like that. We were so tight, and I adored my mom. And I remember them saying, you will meet again, you will see them again. My mom is past; she's dead. That's it. I'm not about to see her again. I don't, my imagination, that's again. So your imagination can be so convincing that it becomes your life. And you can live believing whatever it is that you believe. You live accordingly, and you live within the limits of what your imagination allows. And the thing about the imagination is we dominate our imagination. We dominate our imagination. We have control. We decide. And when I absorb truth of life, it becomes my reality. And that's what, with that situation, that's what takes away the fear. It's really amazing, because when you don't have fear, you can project and you can proceed with boldness, with courage. You can be audacious in your thinking. You can be bold and just unbridled, untamed. You can proceed with boldness and put a demand. Understand this. We don't ask permission for imagining anything. We command even your health. If my finger hurts or whatever, I'm going to command the cells to line up. I don't even command healing. You know why? I'm so particular. I don't command healing, because healing would be an acknowledgement that I am sick. That's just me. That's why I say to you, my friend, you are the best thing that has happened to you once you become consciously aware of who you are. Because you can sculpt your life in whatever direction you desire. And it will bow to you. Your imagination will bow to your mind, to your thinking. It will bow and create the reality. So if I have any kind of situation, I don't pray. Well, I don't pray, but I wouldn't pray for healing. I know how things work. And anything in your body, it's due to some kind of inflammation. Anything, some kind of inflammation. So you need to read up on that. Anything, and then cells getting out of whack, and it tells you that when you sleep, your body repairs itself, and you get into, and if you fast, you get into a period of autophagy, and that's where the cells regenerate itself, and all of that. Learn that. So that it repairs that way. Now, sometimes some people are too far gone in their situation, and it's kind of late to catch up, or they could, depending on how much time they invest in it and how much they allow themselves to learn. But know this, my friend, you are the architect of your life. And when it comes to your health, you command. You don't ask, you don't beg, you don't plead, you don't ask for blessing. You know that you are already blessed. Why? The fact that you ask for blessing is an acknowledgement, is an admittance. You are admitting that you are not blessed. So if you're asking, oh, bless me, or bless me, or you are admitting that you are not blessed. When you when you when you pray, you're delegating, you're outsourcing your power. You're not strong enough. And I'm sharing that to you so that it can provoke you to think. It'll provoke you to think and to know, wait a minute. I'm talking to you, my friend, by my experience, not something that I've read or someone has told me. And I still have a ways to go, because I read, and I it's sweet. And the thing is, the fact that you have these tools or these abilities that's available to you, you don't have to go borrowing or asking. No, it's available to you. If you are, whatever your life is a result of your imagination. Whatever you want your life to be, it can become your reality based on your imagination. You are the architect. Do you believe you're worthy of love and to be adored and appreciated? I was thinking of my husband the other day, well, recently, and he does such sometimes little things that just shows me, not tells me that he loves me, but just shows me. It just shows the love that he has for me. It becomes a thing. I can see it, and he did something the other day, and I thought, wow, that's so tender. And, I believe that I'm worthy of it. I believe that I'm worthy of respect. I believe that I'm worthy of loyalty. I believe I'm worthy of a good companion, a good partner, a good team person. I believe in someone that will contribute to my overall well-being, mentally, emotionally, and physically. I believe that I am worthy of all of that. What do you believe about you? Where does your imagination takes you, regardless of the past? Because imagination is not dealing with the past. The past, you don't need closure. You don't need healing. Just shut the door. Just shut the damn door. Just shut it. Just close the door. And make a decision in your mind, and that you have this tool to work with, that you will start all over again, knowing your worth, knowing your value, and setting up your standard, your boundaries, and so forth, and start brand new. No one is going to give that to you. You have to create that yourself. And don't wait for opportunities to show up. Create the opportunities. Create those opportunities, because you're well able to create those opportunities. But do you believe it? See, the thing is that people are so limited in their thinking, in their ability. You think you can't do this, and you can't do that, and you need to pray for this. No, it is you. You are the architect. And I'm sharing this with you because as life goes by, time is going by, and life is good, and life is sweet. And, there's so much for us to enjoy, and to share, and to give, and to partake, and so forth. And I want that for you, my friend. Now, you can think whatever you want, but the point is, once you understand, because First of all, if you're watching this program, it's because you know there's more. And when I come to you, I am bringing you more. I'm bringing you awareness, conscious awareness. I am kind of like just telling you, look, it's within you. I'm not telling you to do what I do because I am fulfilled in my life. And as I learn things, I execute and I see that they work. And when I see that they work, then I come and I share it with you. But it's important that you know that it works for you as well. It's just that we are so programmed. We are so programmed in our minds, and we come to a place that we limit our imagination. Look around you. Look around you. Everything that you see, my friend, originated in the mind of someone else. Everything that you see, whatever you're wearing, the jewelry, I mean, everything started in the mind of someone else. The slipper you're wearing, the shoes you're wearing, the stove you cook on, the refrigerator you have in your house. Everything started in the imagination of someone's imagination. So don't blame anyone for if you have situations and challenges, just don't blame anyone. Just decide what course of action you want to take. Take a minute, step back, start thinking about your gifts, your talents, your ability, your expertise. What is it that you like to do? This guy, George, the one that was a welder, whether he liked welding or not, I don't know. I don't know if he liked welding. I don't know that. The point is, he recognized, or someone recognized, that he was skilled at what he did. That he was skilled. They recognized it to such a degree that they were willing to bring him from one country to the U.S., as a sponsorship. Back then you could sponsor skills and abilities and so forth, and after certain, of course, with the commitment that he would work there, and after certain amount of years, he got his permanent residency through the organization and so forth. And by then he had learned so much that he thought, what, I can do a little better than that. And then he went to work for another company. And then after that, he's like, wait a minute, no. I am making so much money for these company. I can start my own company. It's the same with you, but it took him a few years. Now, he was like 5 years at that particular company that brought him. And then I don't know how many years he was at the other company. I want to guess like 2 or 3 years. And then by then he had saved up enough money to start his own business. But his imagination, he had to think it. Okay, I'm going to need a word. Oh, as a matter of fact, we were talking this morning, my husband and I, about that situation because we know this person personally. And my husband mentioned that this person started in a garage, in somebody's garage. It wasn't even his house, but he rented a room and also rented a garage to be able to do his work in the garage. And now he has like I don't know how many square feet. It's a manufacturing company. It's huge. It is huge. And he hires about, I don't know, 200 employees or whatever. And now that things are automated, he has upgraded his way of production line. Now things are automated. He's bought the machines that he can use to automate his the things that he builds. And then he's got somebody that is a marketing expert, marketing director, and then there's a sales director and all that. And the guy is a welder. So, my friend, whether you are a painter or a welder or a plumber, an electrician, whatever it is, you can level up. Dominance of your imagination and remove the limits. That's the whole thing. Remove the limits. Don't let anyone convince you, because remember, a lie can bring you to a place where you believe it's true, and you create your whole life around whatever limitations that may be, and it deprives you of living, of really living and enjoying life. Why? Because you're limited. Your imagination is limited to the information that you have. That's why it is important that uh, you do your research, you read, you investigate, you check things out, and you learn things for yourself. And that's what I encourage you to do, to go learn it for yourself, because that's what I do. That's why I come up with all these nuances, because it's like I said, if I have something that hurts, I'm not gonna hope for healing. No, I will not admit that I need healing, because it would be or that I need healing. It would be admitting that I'm sick, and I don't think in those terms. That's just me. And I have the ability to think whatever I want, and that works for me. I don't think that, I may have, in my mind, check it out. In my mind, when I remember I don't know, a couple of years ago, the bottom of my feet hurt, and it wouldn't go away. So I went to the podiatrist and I said, it hurts. And he says, well, it's plantar fasciitis. And he said, just do these exercises and blah, and take some ibuprofen, and it should be gone in a couple of weeks. So I don't necessarily like to take any kind of pills or whatever. So I didn't take any at all. But in my mind, all I'm thinking, because what I did, I did a fast, and I all I could see was like the cells repairing itself and regenerating and so forth, and getting rid of the inflammation and all of those. My imagination just went there in the bottom of my feet, and it just went away. Again, that's just me. And I put myself out there. I don't care if people call me crazy. It works for me. It works for me. And I'm sharing this with you so that you will know that you can do whatever you desire, so that life works for you. So that life works for you in your behalf. But know that you create it. Because if you keep begging and asking and pleading and all that, that's you're outsourcing your strength, your ability, your authenticity. You have to know who you are, know your worth, and understand self-worth is the highest form of worship. Once you know who you are, you become familiar with your power. You become familiar with your ability. You become familiar with the fact that you have the notion, the ability. You have the skills. Some people don't want to be bothered. Some people just want to just go through life, living, on autopilot, doing things by default, saying with the programming, the cliches and the taboos and things of that nature, and that's okay as well for them. That's not my audience. They're not my audience. My audience are people like you that know and understand that there is more to life. There is more to life. It is not, I'm telling you, your imagination it's not fantasy. You may think uh it's fantasy. It's fantasy. No, it's not fantasy. It's a blueprint. It's a raw blueprint of your life. Where you are today is a result of your imagination. You may not think it, but where you are today is a result of, if you're constantly afraid of this, afraid of that, afraid of this, afraid of that, that will become your reality. And once you understand that, you start moving totally differently. You start you start orchestrating in your mind. It's your blueprint. It's you, because you are the architect, and that is your blueprint. Whatever it is, people talk about vision board and writing this. You can do all that, and that's good for starters. I don't do all that because my whole canvas is filled with images of my life. I think in terms of health, in terms of social connection, in terms of family, in terms of my husband, in terms of my siblings. I think in those terms, in terms of my finances, in terms of I don't know if I mentioned my health. I think in those terms, it's a whole canvas with, compartmentalized, and everything is marked with a check, 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 in green, 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 check, check, check. Why? Because that is what I desire. That is what I want to happen in my life. That is what I desire. I want I want the things that I imagine, the things, and for me, it's almost too late, because they have become. It's like I always mention, before we travel, I get there before we get there in my mind. And as a matter of fact, you know how you can, you buy stuff, buy new clothes because you're thinking, well, this night I'm going to go here, and this night I'm going to go there, and so forth, and I'm already there. The power of your imagination, the dominance that you have over your imagination. You dominate your imagination. It I don't even know how to stress this beyond what I'm doing, but it's you. It's all up to you. Now, if you have one of these things about, dimming your lights or minimizing your, then again, this is not for you. But if you are watching this broadcast, then no, my friend, this is for you. You know there is more. You know you want more. You know you desire more. You know that more is your birthright. What you have to understand is that these feelings, these desires, they are natural. It's like when I spoke, I think it could have been last week when I said, or a couple of weeks ago, when I said your sexual desires is not a privilege, it's your birthright. So when you think the way you think, understand your birthright is your ability to think critically, emotional, intelligent. All of those are your birthright, because where do you come up with that? Understand the magnificent human being that you are. If you only knew your power, your strength, your ability, and that it is your birthright. It is your birthright to have abundance. It is your birthright to live in health. It is your birthright to have good relations. It is your birthright to desire, whether it's a relationship or whatever. It is your, when you come up with a desire, a want, a need, whatever. Well, needs are met, water, shelter, and so forth. But when you come up with desires, that means It's already been established that it's your birthright. The things that you want, the things that you desire, the things that you aspire, those things belongs to you. You desire it because it already exists. That's why you desire it, because it already exists, waiting for you to acknowledge and recognize it. This universe is not biased. The universe is unbiased, and it doesn't have favorites. You put a demand on it, and I'm telling you, it becomes your reality. I don't care what situation you have in your mind, whether it's your health or your finances or relationships, put a demand on what it is that you want, and you will see it becomes your reality. But you have to go beyond, I believe that. You have to come to where you know that. I know this thing about the imagination because, again, I've been doing this for the longest time. And it's just now that I am really putting definition to these things, or putting conscious awareness. Wow, my imagination, I always knew it. But now I am realizing the power of it. I wish that for you, my friend. I wish that for you, that your eyes would be open to such a place where, to such an extent where you would start moving in the direction of your desires. Not what I say, because what I do for me, that's mine, and it works for me, and that's all that matters to me. But for you, it'll work for you. It will work for you because the universe is unbiased. And it's up to you because you have what it takes. It is the power of your imagination. You have dominance over that. And you are the architect. The canvas is the raw material, your blueprint, whatever it is you desire. And it doesn't matter your nationality, it doesn't matter your ethnicity, it doesn't matter your race, it doesn't matter any of that. As long as you approach this powerfully, with courage and authentically, you will see it become your reality. My friend, I'm going to leave you with that so that you can sup on that. It encourages me as well because, there's so many things that has happened to us in the past few weeks that are just so incredibly amazing that I just enjoy just spending time with my husband. We just rehearse and we talk about things. It's like, this and that, and we just see it unfold. And it is so delicious. Life, our savage season. And whatever season it is for you, live it to the fullest. My friend, every Thursday we meet right here, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. And if you can't meet me, then you see the icons here: Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. You can pick it up 24/7. Additionally, if you wish to drop me a line, info@thecynthialinoxshow.com. You can drop me a line. I am also a life coach, and I offer for a 30-minute complimentary chat just to make sure that our energies are in alignment and so forth. So drop me a note, and I will see you next Thursday, same time, same place. In the meantime, have a magical weekend, whatever you choose to do. It's getting a little cooler here in the U.S., and I like that. And holidays are around the corner. We've got Halloween coming up. That's something I don't do it because I simply don't wear a costume, but any Halloween parties, whatever. They're always fun. And then you've got Thanksgiving, and then the holiday season in December. Is it Hanukkah, Rosh Hashanah? Anyway, all the holidays in December. So anyway, ciao. See you next week. Same time, same place.